Hey, it's Steve Wilmes and Matt Kita.
Hey, everybody.
We're here with another episode of the Risk Control Show, and today we're talking about the EV charging stations. You know, it's funny. We were both on a Los Angeles County Office of Education facilities meeting. We were actually doing a little bit of training on active shooters.
Right.
And there's a bunch of, architects and facilities managers, designers, and DSA and all those types of folks are on there. And we're talking a little bit about the future of school designs.
Yeah.
And one of the facilities managers kind of has some oversight in the design world, said, we really have to start thinking about our electric vehicle charging policy.
Right. Right.
Do you have an electric vehicle?
I do not have an electric vehicle. Unfortunately,
shame.
I haven't actually gone out and gotten one yet.
You don't think that the $68,000 price tag is affordable?
It may be affordable for some. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet. I'm still a gas-powered Luddite. But you know what? Apparently, we're all going to get there.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. So we have to be thinking about our EV charging policy.
Yes.
And quite frankly, I mean, Matt and I, we just did a trip to from Torrance, California.
Yep.
To San Francisco, all around San Francisco, over to Tahoe, down from Tahoe, down the 395, back into Torrance.
Yes.
And we put a 1,000-something miles,
something like that. Yeah, it was. I think we figured it out, and I know it was north of 1,000.
1,000 miles. So with the 250-mile range, that's 4 chargings at least.
Yep.
Where do we do that? I have no clue, and that's always kind of been my challenge. That's preventing me from doing the electric vehicle. We have a truck for the business, and we run around and. We take 250-pound dummies with us for search and rescue and tripods and all kinds of stuff. And usually, even our trip, this playground inspection stuff that we were doing, we got a truckload of tools and we got our gear just for clothing and everything else, and a cooler because Cal-OSHA requires some water.
Yep.
And by the time we do all that, the bed of the truck's full, the trunk of the truck's full, and our back seat is full, and away we go. And so looking at it like, I don't know if I could fit, I certainly can't fit it in a Tesla, and I can't fit it in a Prius.
Right. And
I can't fit it, maybe a Rivi van, but I don't know about a river van truck.
Maybe you got to get that Cybertruck.
Cybertruck, yeah.
Get the Cybertruck.
Where do I charge it?
That's a problem. We need to find a solution.
We need to find a solution.
Yes.
Well, and take cities like Woodland Hills and Tarzana and those areas where everyone's parking on the street because so much housing is packed in there.
Right.
Like, what do you do overnight? And that brings us to the question is, what is your EV charging policy? We got real issues to consider. First and foremost is that if you put charging stations, solar power, if you put charging stations, usually when these organizations want to do that, they want a piece of the pie or they want to charge you.
Right.
So now you're putting it on your school district to provide a benefit to your employees, which could be seen as a gift to public funds.
Yes.
Because it is simply providing free energy at a cost to you and the public for one person. If it's a district-owned vehicle, that's a different story. But if your employees are charging, how do you charge them the fees?
Right.
Who pays the fees? Do you give an allowance to gas-powered vehicles, right? All that kind of stuff. So those are things that you really got to look at. And I think it's important to understand really what the charging process takes. So this is PG&E's website. I can show you a little bit of that here, right? PG&E, and they're talking about the charging stations and the 3 types of charging stations. And really you want what this looks like here because you need to be able to do it quickly.
Yes.
Right? Look at this. This is crazy over here. If I were to get one here, I'd have to plug it into my garage, which is completely full.
Yep.
With other things, motorcycles and all kinds of great stuff.
Right.
But 5 miles per hour of charge. So if I leave it overnight, now normally I'm getting home late anyway.
Right. Yeah.
I want to run to Krav. I want to take. I got grocery shopping to do. I got to see my daughter. Right.
Moving around, especially no one drives in LA, right?
Yeah, no one drives in LA. So I get home, I plug it in, and I get.
I said, should be the other way around. Everyone drives in LA.
Yeah, I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, well, okay. Hey, however you took it, you know what I meant.
So back to this, 5 miles per hour of charge. That's crazy. If I even get, like, we got home, we got back to here, the office, at 9 o'clock that night.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And we had to be in the city at
we had to
leave at 5:30.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing is that we had, because we weren't right near where our client was the next day, and we had some usual traffic in LA between us and them. We had to leave super early to get to that client by the, I believe, 8 a.m. start time. So
well, we had to be there at 7:30, but but I think we had to leave at 5:30 or
yeah,
something.
that was the point. We had to we didn't have
and you
a big
got
window.
to the office. We rode together. So you got to the office the same time I did, which was 9.
Right.
And then you had to drive to your house.
I had to go back to my place. Yes.
Well, so you got home at 10.
Yes.
And okay, so if you would have plugged in 10 to 5, you got 7 hours times 5. So you got 35 miles.
35
Wow.
miles. I think.
So you could have got to the client, but not home.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
So then if you can get okay, this is good, right? I mean, our infrastructure here in come on, Newsom, we got stuff to do. Seriously, hire me. Let me fix this problem for you. I mean, seriously, I can do it. I can do it. But here's the thing: my first home that I bought in Redondo Beach came with 40 amp service.
Right.
40 amp. And the house was built in 1983 or 4 or 5, something like that.
Right.
40 amp service. Okay. Most new homes are coming with a minimum of 100.
Right.
But 200, something like that. Everything's electronic. So you're going to tell, in order for me to upgrade the panel itself, it was like $10,000.
Right.
Okay. So, my daughter and former wife, they are still in the house. They can't run certain things together, because it's like, hey, if you run a microwave and an Instapot, you blow the fuse, right? Because you got the refrigerator in there and you got everything else going.
Right.
So it's this constant, juggling act, which is ridiculous. So if you want to go to 240, I remember because I wanted to go to 240 and they're like, it's basically impossible. Oh. Where you're at, unless you want to spend like 20 grand.
Right. Ooh.
So, that's a big chunk of change just to upgrade. So, and then you only get 13 to 25 miles. So now if you would have had 7 times 13,
that's 710,
110.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 13 times 7. Yeah. So it's
91 miles.
It's not far.
90 miles? 91 miles. 7 times 13 is 91 miles.
I should have brought a calculator.
You should have brought a calculator. 91 miles. So you certainly could have made it there and back, but forget about us going to the second or third client that day.
Right. Exactly.
Unless there's a charging station at a client, which there is not.
Yep. Yeah.
So what do you do? And I think this really becomes an issue for public agencies, where we're going to be forced. I think there's this that's going to do this with charging stations and everything else.
Right.
But your employees are going to come to work and they're going to need to charge their vehicle.
Right.
And if they have to go somewhere to do that, then they're going to need transportation from that location to your site. a lot of our school sites don't have that. A lot of them are not built for that. It's expensive, right? It's a capital improvement project. It takes time, bond funding possibly, all this kind of stuff. But the issue becomes, all right, if you have employees that have problems getting to work, or if you have the governor who says, our grid can't support this, don't charge your EV vehicle, and they follow that, do you penalize them for not coming to work the next day?
Right. And it puts you in a whole different situation where you have to consider, well, maybe now I need to hire a surplus of employees to cover myself.
You can't do that. Well, in a private organization, sure, but in public, no.
But in public, you're right. No, you're right. But I mean, it's something that you may have to budget for, or anything. You just have to.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
That's the thing.
You have 2 teachers for the same class, and this one doesn't make it, so you just keep them on. Come on, Matt.
Not double up, but you know what I mean. It's. Maybe you have a bigger pool of sub teachers, substitute teachers.
Well, but again, if everybody's on EV and your subs can't charge that night either, what do you do?
Right.
So you have to have a charging station there, but are you limited to the power? I mean, we went on that trip and I was flabbergasted by the policies of the hotels that we stay in.
Oh, yeah.
Because you walk in, the air's running, the TV's on, the lights are on. You're like, I thought we were in a crisis here.
Right.
Right. I thought we were supposed to be conserving energy. Yeah. And so there it is, just running and wasting all day for someone to potentially come and use my hotel. Yeah. But again, like, you look at the EVs and just going back to this charging, you need 480. That way people can jump on. But now you got time. People got to run out, move their car, do this, do that. Because obviously you probably won't have enough for every employee to jump in on it.
Right. So
what's this policy going to look like? How do you ensure people arrive to work that day? What do you do if they can't? Are there going to be more frequent I'm out of gas, I'm out of electric on the way to work? It's one of those things that becomes very challenging. Right. And if you're in an area, especially more of an urban area where there's not a lot of charging stations available, people live in California. It's a funny thing. People live in lots of condos and townhomes because they can't afford a house. Right. And a lot of these places just don't have the electric charging. Yeah. And there's really no place to put them on the street.
No, there isn't. Like, I was thinking about one of our clients. I think I told you about this when I went out to a training a month ago, and I was there super early, so nobody had left for work. It was like 5 a.m. And I remember I drove down that street, and it was a very small street right across from our client, and it just had cars like bumper to bumper all the way down each side. It was trash day. Somebody literally had to put their trash cans in the middle of the street so that their trash could get picked up. And I remember looking at it, and we had already had this conversation about charging cars everywhere. And I'm imagining all these cars being electric cars trying to plug in. Yeah. And it boggled my mind. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. It's like, I don't know how they're going to make this work.
No, and you got electric cords everywhere. You have ADA violations potentially because you're going to have these charging stations. Our sidewalks aren't wide enough as they are. Hey, Elon Musk, if you're listening, hire me. I got a solution to this. If you're the oil industry, hire me. I got a solution. I'm not giving this away for free. I really am not. I'm not giving this one away for free. It's too big. If you're an angel investor and you want to make some serious money, come talk to me because I got a great solution to this, and it works, and it uses our existing infrastructure, and we don't have to modify our highways or anything. Right. And it's really great. And if you're a car manufacturer, call me, talk to me. I got the solution for you. I promise you. And it's worth, well, for me, is worth $1 billion. For you, of course, it's probably worth hundreds of billions of dollars. But it's a good one. It's an easy one, and we can do this. We could actually get rid of all electric vehicles. I mean, all electric vehicles. We could get rid of all gas powered vehicles like literally within a couple of years, 2 years, I think.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Yeah.
So, and it would employ a lot of people.
Yeah.
All of our service stations. Oh man, those people are not going to lose, right? It's great. I think there's a great solution there, folks. And, I got it. I got it. Just come talk to me, please. So anyway, back to this charging. You have to have a policy. You got to be looking at the unintended consequences. I talk about that a lot. It's the unintended consequences of these policies. So you put this in. We saw this with the swimming pool issue. Main drain covers. Someone's senator's daughter dies in the swimming pool because her hair got caught in the main drain. All of a sudden, hey, everybody's got to have these main drain covers. Nobody's making them yet. Nobody's really not installing EV chargers out there like they should. Right. So, hey, if these cars are so popular, they'd be putting these filling stations everywhere that they can, but they're not doing it. And so there's just a whole lot that needs to go into play.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is those have unintended consequences. How do you get your staff to work? People are already saying, I just want to work from home. I want to work from home. And there's no better excuse than, hey, the governor won't let me charge my car.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So we have to come up with these policies that are going to address all these concerns. But I think for public agencies specifically, how do you look at a gift of public funds? Right. And then how do you compete? We have an enormous dropout of staff, especially in accounts payable.
Yes.
Because they're making... someone was telling me, Susan was telling me the other day that they're offering $73,000 a year as an accounts payable clerk.
A clerk.
Just clerk. Just receive invoices, put them in the system. $73,000 a year, and no one wants to take the job because it pays too little. Wow. And so school districts are losing these. Which has an unintended consequence of really impacting your vendors, like who's going to be paying your vendors, who's keeping your lights on, and then who's going to want to service somebody that's not paying you. Right. So that being said, I got a lot of solutions here, folks, and that's what we do. We give a lot of it away for free,
right?
But some things need to be paid for, and that helps us keep this show going. So anyway, to make sure you subscribe so you can get all the big hits. Unless you got something else, Matt, I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think you've said it all. The only thing I want to say in general, just the concept of what the governor is trying to do. We understand what he's trying to do and why there's a drive behind that. We all get the whole climate change discussion. But if you're going to throw a statement out there like we're going to have only electrics sold in California by 2035, I mean, you need to have a plan.
You got it. Well, yeah, you got to have.
You need to have a plan for how you're going to do that because the side effects need to be dealt with. But we have the solution. So contact us.
Well, the CARB, C-A-R-B, I saw the other day, last night actually, that they were talking about they're going to do the same thing with diesel. They're gonna phase out diesel by 2035, no more. Same proportions, all that.
It's like even the big rigs going to be EV big rigs.
EV big
and powered by robots.
Yeah. So we can all party and just have fun all day long with our solar-powered hot tubs.
There you go.
Yeah. And our solar-powered ice-cold drink machines. All right, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel if you're watching this on the article. And make sure that you subscribe so you can get all our great content. We'll see you soon on another episode of The Risk Control Show. And Jim, this one goes out to you, buddy.